We don't serve your kind here. Manager Rick Stevens blocks the entrance to Premier Motors' gleaming showroom, his arms stretched across the doorway like a human barrier. The black man in the simple navy polo shirt, worn jeans, and old sneakers doesn't flinch. Instead, Marcus Washington pulls out his phone with deliberate calm, his fingers moving across the screen with practiced precision. "Interesting policy," Marcus says, a knowing smile playing at the corners of his mouth. His voice carries no anger, only quiet confidence that makes Rick shift uncomfortably. The Saturday afternoon sun streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating rows of luxury vehicles, BMWs, Mercedes, Porsches worth more than most people's homes. Other customers pause their browsing, sensing tension crackling through the air like electricity before a storm. Sometimes the person you underestimate holds all the cards. Have you ever been judged in a store based on your looks? Share your story. This dismissed customer's true identity will destroy everything Rick believes. Marcus Washington parks his weekend Honda Accord between a gleaming Porsche and a Mercedes AMG. At 45, he moves with quiet authority, wearing a simple navy polo shirt, regular jeans, and worn sneakers. He chose this modest approach deliberately, a test that reveals more than any corporate inspection ever could. Premier Motors sprawls across 2 acres of prime suburban real estate, its glass facade reflecting the wealth of its clientele. Inside, crystal chandeliers cast warm light over polished concrete floors where million-dollar automobiles sit like sculptures in a gallery. The Saturday afternoon crowd consists entirely of affluent suburbanites, their comfortable prosperity evident in designer handbags and platinum watches. Marcus enters through automatic doors that whisper shut behind him. The showroom's silence breaks as conversations pause, heads turn, eyes assess. 3 salespeople cluster near a silver BMW, their body language shifting subtly but unmistakably. Professional smiles become forced. Natural enthusiasm dampens. Rick Stevens emerges from his glass office like a territorial animal sensing intrusion. 15 years managing luxury dealerships has taught him to read customers instantly, or so he believes. His practiced eye catalogs Marcus's appearance. Casual polo shirt, ordinary jeans, old sneakers that have seen better days. The calculation forms quickly in Rick's mind. Definitely not their clientele. Probably can't afford anything here, likely just browsing without serious intent. Rick's assumptions are about to cost him everything he's worked for. Marcus continues his examination of the BMW, checking the interior quality, testing the seat adjustments, nodding approvingly at the premium sound system. His knowledge becomes increasingly apparent through specific questions about transmission specifications, suspension tuning, and advanced driver assistance features. Rick watches with growing irritation. The other customers, a well-dressed white family examining a similar model, receive immediate attention from eager sales staff. Champagne appears on silver trays, brochures spread across polished tables. Children are offered iPads loaded with games while parents discuss financing options that start at 0%. "Sir," Rick's voice sharpens, "these vehicles start at $60,000. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the Honda dealership down the street. They have excellent financing programs for your situation." Marcus straightens slowly, his expression remaining neutral despite the obvious insult. "My situation?" "Budget-conscious buyers," Rick clarifies with false diplomacy. "We specialize in luxury vehicles for established clientele. I'm sure you understand the difference." "I appreciate your concern about my finances," Marcus replies evenly. "May I speak with the owner about your customer service approach?" Rick's laugh carries genuine amusement. "Son, I've been personally selected by ownership to maintain the standards that make Premier Motors the region's premier luxury destination. I know exactly what ownership expects from our clientele." Across the showroom, the White family receives a detailed presentation about extended warranties and concierge services. Their 7-year-old tests the massage seats while his parents sample imported water. The contrast couldn't be more stark if Rick had painted lines on the floor. 2 younger salespeople, Sarah Martinez and David Chen, exchange uncomfortable glances but remain silent. Rick's authority extends beyond management into intimidation, his 15-year tenure providing protection that newer employees lack. Marcus continues his methodical examination, photographing vehicle specifications with his phone, taking notes in a leather portfolio. To Rick, this behavior appears suspicious, potentially criminal preparation for theft or industrial espionage. "Excuse me," Rick signals the security guard with obvious urgency. "We have a situation developing here." Rick's about to escalate this confrontation beyond simple discrimination. "Sir, I need you to stop what you're doing immediately," Rick announces loudly, ensuring maximum audience participation. His voice carries across the showroom like an alarm, drawing every eye to the unfolding drama. Marcus looks up calmly from his examination of the vehicle's interior. "Is there a problem?" "You've been taking photographs of our proprietary vehicle information, making detailed notes, asking specific technical questions while showing no genuine purchase intent," Rick declares, building his case for the gathering crowd. "I have reason to suspect you're conducting industrial espionage or planning theft." The accusation electrifies the atmosphere. Conversations halt mid-sentence. Children stare with wide eyes. Adults pretend to examine vehicles while recording what appears to be a security incident on their phones. "I'm calling the police," Rick continues, pulling out his phone with theatrical determination. "We have a suspected criminal conducting surveillance on our premises." Marcus raises his hand slightly, maintaining composure that makes Rick's hysteria seem even more disproportionate. "That's not necessary. I'm happy to cooperate with any reasonable security measures." "Empty your pockets," Rick demands, his voice rising to courtroom volume. "Security, I need you to witness this search for evidence of criminal activity." The security guard approaches reluctantly, clearly uncomfortable with the escalating situation. Marcus complies with dignity that transforms Rick's accusations into obvious persecution. He places his belongings on the service counter with deliberate precision: an expensive Omega watch, a leather wallet thick with credit cards, an iPhone Pro Max, business cards from Washington Holdings LLC. Rick examines each item with exaggerated suspicion, holding the identification up to the light as though checking for forgeries. "Washington Holdings? Never heard of it. What kind of criminal enterprise is this?" "Investment management," Marcus answers simply. "Right," Rick's voice drips with theatrical skepticism as he addresses his audience. "And I suppose you're some kind of big-shot CEO planning to buy our entire showroom?" The mockery draws nervous laughter from some customers, uncomfortable silence from others. Several continue recording, sensing they're witnessing something that will become significant. "Sir, you're trespassing on private property with suspicious intent," Rick announces with false authority. "Leave immediately, or I'm having you arrested for attempted theft and criminal conspiracy." Marcus makes a phone call that will transform everything within 30 minutes. Marcus walks to his Honda with measured steps, each footfall deliberate, despite the eyes following his retreat and the whispered conversations about the suspected criminal being escorted from the premises. Inside the vehicle, he sits motionless for 30 seconds, processing not just the discrimination, but the calculated cruelty of public humiliation designed to destroy dignity. He opens a leather portfolio and begins documenting details with clinical precision. Rick Stevens, manager, threats of police arrest, false accusations of criminal activity, public humiliation witnessed by approximately 20 customers. Every detail matters for what comes next. The first phone call connects immediately. "Jennifer, cancel my 5 o'clock with the Atlanta group. We have a code red situation at Premier Motors Location 7. Rick Stevens just threatened to have me arrested for being black in his showroom." Jennifer Kim, his executive assistant for 8 years, recognizes the gravity immediately. "Dear God, are you safe? Do you need security?" "I'm fine, but I need full documentation package within the hour. Employment records, customer complaints, any prior discrimination incidents. Also contact Rebecca. I want my daughter here for the resolution." The second call goes to his daughter. "Becca, I need you at Premier Motors Location 7 immediately. Bring the civil rights legal team. We're about to demonstrate why your law degree was the best investment I ever made." Rebecca Washington Chen, 28, senior partner at Washington and Associates Civil Rights Law, inherited her father's strategic mind and her mother's fierce advocacy. "What's the situation, Dad?" I was just threatened with arrest for shopping while black. Time to show them what happens when they target the wrong family. Inside the dealership, Rick regales staff with his heroic defense of company property. You have to stay vigilant, he explains to younger employees. These people come in here pretending to be legitimate customers, but they're really casing the joint for theft operations. That's why ownership trusts me to protect our assets. Sarah Martinez's discomfort is visible. Rick, his questions seemed genuinely knowledgeable. His business cards looked professional. Anyone can print fake business cards, Rick dismisses. Real buyers don't waste time with technical specifications. They care about status, what their neighbors think, making payments they can actually afford. Marcus reviews preliminary data Jennifer sends to his phone. Premier Motors location 7, declining customer satisfaction scores, 4 unresolved discrimination complaints in 18 months, highest employee turnover in the region. Rick Stevens, 3 previous incidents documented but dismissed as misunderstandings by regional management. The pattern reveals systematic exclusion protected by willful corporate ignorance. This isn't isolated prejudice. It's institutionalized discrimination with Rick as the willing enforcer. Marcus's daughter arrives with legal firepower that will shatter Rick's world. 50 minutes later, Marcus returns with Rebecca Washington Chen, whose presence transforms the showroom atmosphere instantly. She moves with prosecutorial authority, her expensive suit and legal briefcase marking her as serious business rather than casual browsing. Behind her, 2 associates carry recording equipment and legal documentation. Rick's confident demeanor wavers as Rebecca presents her business card. Senior partner, Washington and Associates, Federal Civil Rights Division. We're investigating reports of discriminatory practices and false criminal accusations at this location. There's been some mistake, Rick stammers, his earlier bravado evaporating like steam. We had a legitimate security concern about suspicious behavior. I was protecting company property from potential theft. By threatening to have a customer arrested for asking about vehicle specifications, Rebecca interrupts smoothly, producing a digital recorder. Let's start with your detailed account of these criminal accusations you made. Marcus stands beside his daughter, their family resemblance now obvious in their shared calm authority. Rick's eyes dart between them, his mind struggling to process the sophisticated legal response to what he considered routine discrimination. There was no discrimination, Rick insists desperately. We serve all customers equally. I made appropriate security decisions based on suspicious behavior patterns consistent with criminal surveillance. Requiring black customers to empty their pockets while white customers receive champagne service? Rebecca's question cuts through Rick's defense like a prosecutor's scalpel. Threatening police arrest for asking technical questions about vehicles? Sarah Martinez approaches with visible relief. Excuse me, but I witnessed everything. Mr. Washington was completely professional. His questions showed real automotive knowledge. There was nothing suspicious about his behavior. Rick's face reddens. Sarah, return to your station immediately. This doesn't concern you. Actually, employee testimony is central to our federal investigation, Rebecca says. Sarah, would you be willing to provide a formal statement about what you observed? David Chen steps forward, joining Sarah. I saw it too. Mr. Washington received completely different treatment from other customers. Rick threatened to have him arrested for doing exactly what every other customer does, asking questions and taking notes. Rick's panic becomes visible as his narrative crumbles. He fumbles for his phone, dialing regional management with shaking fingers. Janet, Rick Stevens at location 7. I need immediate backup. We have lawyers here making false accusations about our security protocols. Cliffhanger. Regional Manager Janet Torres arrives with corporate news that will devastate Rick. Janet Torres arrives within 20 minutes, her BMW sedan screeching into the parking lot with urgent desperation. As regional manager overseeing 12 locations, she's handled discrimination complaints before, but Rebecca's legal team signals something far more serious than routine damage control. Rick, what the hell is happening here? Janet demands, her professional composure cracking immediately upon seeing the federal civil rights investigation equipment and formal documentation process. Just a misunderstanding, Rick explains desperately. A suspicious customer made unfounded accusations after I properly implemented security protocols to protect company assets from potential theft. Rebecca hands Janet a preliminary legal summary. Your manager publicly humiliated a customer based solely on race, made false criminal accusations, threatened police arrest, and created a hostile environment while providing preferential treatment to white customers. Janet's face pales as she reviews the evidence. Her smartphone buzzes constantly with messages from corporate headquarters, each notification adding layers to her growing dread. Rick, I need to see your complete employee file right now, Janet says, her voice tight with barely controlled anger. The file reveals what Marcus's investigation already uncovered: 3 previous discrimination complaints, all dismissed without proper investigation. Customer satisfaction scores consistently below company standards. Staff turnover rate double the regional average. Sarah Martinez and David Chen provide detailed sworn statements, their accounts corroborated by security camera footage Rebecca's team demands to review. Other employees, emboldened by corporate and legal presence, share stories of Rick's pattern of racial bias, inappropriate comments about minority customers, steering tactics, and deliberate discouragements that violated both company policy and federal law. Do you comprehend what you've cost this company? Janet confronts Rick privately. The potential federal prosecution, class action lawsuits, brand damage, Justice Department investigation this could trigger. Rick's desperation intensifies. I was protecting company interests, maintaining security standards that keep our legitimate customers safe. These people don't understand our business model. Stop talking, Janet orders sharply. Every word makes our legal exposure worse. Her phone rings. Corporate legal department. The conversation is brief but decisive, her expression shifting from anger to absolute terror. Rick, you're suspended immediately pending federal investigation. Security will escort you from the premises within the hour. 3 black SUVs arrive carrying the person Rick never imagined possible. The executive security detail deploys with military precision, transforming Premier Motors from suburban dealership into corporate command center. Janet Torres recognizes the company SUVs, vehicles reserved for board-level executives, but cannot comprehend why such high-level response is warranted for a routine discrimination complaint. Her confusion deepens when corporate headquarters calls again. Janet, you're about to meet someone you should have recognized from day one, the voice explains with obvious stress. The owner is personally handling this situation. Rick, facing suspension and professional ruin, clings to desperate hope. Finally, corporate understands what I was protecting. When the owner learns how I maintained security standards and prevented potential theft. Shut up, Rick, Janet snaps, her patience completely exhausted. Professional security personnel enter the showroom, their presence indicating someone of extraordinary importance approaching. Customers step aside respectfully, employees gather nervously, and the atmosphere shifts from crisis management to executive theater. Rebecca Washington Chen coordinates with the security team through discreet communication, her legal authority now backed by unlimited corporate resources. 25 years of building his empire has taught Marcus the psychological power of dramatic revelation. The complete shattering of assumptions creates lasting change. Sarah Martinez whispers to David Chen, who could require this level of security for a discrimination complaint? Even Janet seems bewildered by the escalating corporate response. Civil rights cases rarely generate this magnitude of executive attention unless something monumentally significant is at stake. Rick straightens his tie, preparing his vindication speech for the ultimate authority figure. In his delusional confidence, the owner will validate his actions, understanding the necessity of maintaining customer standards that protect the brand's prestige from unworthy clientele. The showroom falls silent as approaching footsteps echo through the entrance. Everyone holds their breath, waiting for the revelation that will determine the future of Location 7 and everyone connected to this afternoon's catastrophic events. Corporate executives emerge first, faces Janet recognizes from company newsletters but has never met personally. Their deference to the approaching figure suggests someone of absolute authority within the Premier Motors hierarchy. The door opens, revealing the one person Rick never conceived possible, Marcus Washington enters flanked by corporate executives Janet Torres has never seen, but immediately recognizes as ultimate authority. The silence following his entrance carries the weight of absolute revelation. Every assumption, every prejudice, every comfortable certainty crumbling simultaneously in cosmic justice. Rick's face drains of all color as recognition hits like physical trauma. The man he humiliated, the customer he threatened with arrest, the person he deemed a criminal threat, stands before him as the ultimate authority over his professional existence. "Hello, Rick," Marcus says, his voice carrying quiet authority that fills the showroom completely. "I believe we met earlier when you threatened to have me arrested. I'm Marcus Washington, owner of Premier Motors." The words detonate like thunderclaps. Janet Torres feels her legs weaken as she realizes she's been speaking to her ultimate boss, the mysterious owner who's remained invisible throughout her 8-year tenure. Regional managers who've never met the famously private entrepreneur scramble to process the magnitude of their catastrophic oversight. Rebecca steps forward with prosecutorial presence. "And I'm Rebecca Washington Chen, his daughter and senior partner at Washington & Associates Civil Rights Law. We're here to discuss your manager's threats to have my father arrested for shopping while black." The double revelation, owner and civil rights attorney daughter, creates a perfect storm of accountability that leaves Rick speechless. His worldview, built on racial hierarchies and economic assumptions, collapses completely. 400 locations nationwide, Marcus continues, addressing the stunned crowd. 15,000 employees, the largest black-owned automotive dealership chain in American history, built from a single garage where I learned that character matters infinitely more than color. Rick's mouth opens and closes soundlessly. The criminal suspect he threatened with arrest owns the entire business empire, signs every paycheck, determines every policy, controls his professional fate absolutely. "Mr. Washington," Rick finally stammers, his voice cracking with desperation. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. I was protecting company assets, maintaining security standards that include threatening customers with false arrest based on their race." Rebecca interrupts with laser precision, publicly accusing them of criminal conspiracy for asking vehicle specifications. The executive team Marcus brought includes his legal director, HR vice president, operations manager, and federal compliance officer. This isn't routine crisis management. It's comprehensive corporate investigation with the owner's personal attention and unlimited legal resources. Sarah Martinez and David Chen watch their vindication unfold in real time, their courage to speak truth rewarded by witnessing justice served with perfect irony. Other employees realize they've participated in discriminating against the person who built their workplace, whose vision created their employment. Customers who witnessed the earlier threats now understand they observed something historic, the moment when systemic prejudice met absolute accountability, when assumptions about power and worth exploded spectacularly. "I started changing oil in my uncle's garage," Marcus tells the assembled crowd. "Every rejection, every assumption, every threat like yours became fuel for building something better. Premier Motors exists to serve everyone with dignity, to create opportunities in underserved communities, to prove that success recognizes no color barriers." Marcus announces Rick's fate and the systematic changes transforming every location. "Rick Stevens, you're terminated immediately for violating federal civil rights laws, making false criminal accusations, and creating hostile environments that expose this company to massive legal liability," Marcus announces with quiet finality that reverberates through the showroom like a judicial sentence. The termination echoes with cosmic justice. Rick's 15-year career, his 6-figure salary, his pension and benefits, his professional reputation, everything evaporates in one declarative sentence delivered by the man he attempted to have arrested. Rebecca steps forward with prosecutorial authority, now backed by unlimited corporate resources. "Mr. Stevens, you face potential federal charges under civil rights statutes for making false criminal accusations based on race, personal liability for intentional discrimination, civil lawsuits from previous victims who are already contacting our office after seeing news coverage." Rick's face crumbles as the full scope of his destruction becomes clear. Federal charges carry prison sentences. Civil lawsuits will drain his life savings. His discriminatory actions, now documented and publicized nationally, have eliminated any future employment prospects in retail, management, or customer service industries. The automotive world is smaller than you imagine, Marcus adds with quiet menace. Word travels instantly about managers who create federal legal liability for their employers. Your reputation precedes you now, in the most devastating way possible. Janet Torres faces her own reckoning. How many other locations harbor similar problems? Marcus demands. How many discrimination complaints were dismissed as misunderstandings? How many customers did we lose because managers like Rick decided who deserved basic human respect? The investigation expands immediately across all 400 locations. Marcus orders comprehensive federal compliance audits, focusing specifically on customer service disparities, discrimination complaints, and management practices that mirror Rick's systematic exclusion tactics. Effective today, Marcus announces to gathered staff and customers, every location implements mandatory federal civil rights training, revised hiring practices emphasizing diversity, and zero-tolerance policies for discrimination. Customer service standards will be measured across all demographic groups, with managers held personally accountable for any disparities. Sarah Martinez receives immediate recognition for her moral courage despite personal risk. Marcus promotes her to Corporate Diversity Coordinator, tasking her with developing company-wide training programs. David Chen becomes Assistant Manager at Location 7, with responsibility for implementing new inclusive service standards. The systematic changes extend far beyond individual consequences. Marcus establishes mystery shopper programs specifically designed to test for discriminatory treatment across racial, ethnic, and economic lines. Customer advisory boards will include diverse voices reviewing service quality monthly. Supplier networks will prioritize minority-owned businesses. Franchise agreements now include strict anti-discrimination clauses with immediate termination penalties. This transcends revenge, Marcus addresses the media crews gathering outside. It's about creating systems ensuring no customer ever faces the threats I experienced today. Discrimination isn't just morally wrong. It's economically devastating. It destroys sales, damages brands, and poisons the communities we serve. Rick's financial destruction accelerates rapidly. His mortgage payment due next week becomes impossible. Car payments for vehicles he can no longer afford face immediate default. Children's college tuition, depending on his lost income, creates family crisis. The discrimination that seemed cost-free hours earlier now carries catastrophic personal consequences. Federal investigators arrive to document civil rights violations comprehensively. Previous customers who experienced Rick's discrimination emerge from fearful silence, empowered by corporate support and unlimited legal representation. The pattern of systematic abuse spanning years becomes evidence in comprehensive federal prosecution. Marcus commits $100 million to community investment programs, scholarship funds for minority students pursuing automotive careers, and business ownership training programs specifically targeting underserved communities. The incident becomes catalyst for generational change, extending far beyond Premier Motors' corporate structure. Employee accountability spreads throughout the entire company. Staff who enabled discrimination face disciplinary action ranging from suspension to termination. Those who reported concerns receive commendation, salary increases, and career advancement opportunities. The message resonates with perfect clarity. Moral courage is rewarded, complicity punished severely. Industry associations take immediate notice. Marcus challenges other automotive companies to adopt similar comprehensive anti-discrimination standards, creating competitive pressure for proactive civil rights policies. His leadership transforms incident response into industry-wide reformation. Rick's public humiliation becomes a cautionary tale broadcast nationwide. The termination hearing becomes public spectacle within hours as national news outlets seize the dramatic narrative of powerful CEO revealing identity to racist manager who threatened his arrest. Rick Stevens sits across from corporate legal teams, his career dissolving into legal documentation and viral media coverage. 15 years of employment terminated for cause, the HR director reads from official records. Violation of federal civil rights laws, false criminal accusations, Creation of hostile environment for customers and staff. No severance, no benefits continuation, no positive references, permanent industry blacklisting. Rick's attorney explains the cascading consequences ahead. Federal prosecutors review civil rights charges carrying potential prison sentences up to 10 years. Previous discrimination victims, emboldened by corporate support and media attention, file civil lawsuits seeking damages for humiliation, emotional distress, and denied service. Local and national headlines read, "Manager threatens to arrest customer who owns the company." Social media explodes with security camera footage of the confrontation. Rick's threats and humiliation broadcast to millions worldwide. His children learn about their father's actions through classmates sharing viral clips during school. Professional associations move swiftly to distance themselves. The National Automobile Dealers Association revokes his membership permanently. State licensing boards review his retail management credentials for potential suspension. 15 years of professional development and industry relationships evaporate overnight. Former colleagues abandon him immediately. "We always suspected Rick had serious issues," fellow managers tell reporters eagerly, but no one felt safe challenging his authority. The company seemed to protect him despite mounting complaints from customers and staff. The court-ordered psychological evaluation reveals deep-seated racial bias requiring extensive professional counseling. Classic case of systemic prejudice manifesting through authority abuse, the psychologist explains to media. Years of unchallenged assumptions crystallizing into discriminatory behavior patterns with criminal elements. Character witnesses paint devastating pictures of Rick's history during legal proceedings. Former employees testify about inappropriate racial comments, discriminatory policies he enforced religiously, and minority customers he deliberately intimidated through threats and humiliation tactics. Sarah Martinez provides particularly damaging testimony about the toxic culture Rick created. He made absolutely clear that certain customers weren't welcome and would face consequences for attempting to shop there. Anyone questioning his approach faced immediate retaliation and career destruction. The financial ruin accelerates with breathtaking speed. Background checks reveal Rick's termination for federal civil rights violations, making him unemployable in any customer-facing role nationwide. His mortgage enters foreclosure proceedings. Credit cards reach maximum limits. The comfortable middle-class lifestyle built on systematic discrimination crumbles within weeks. But in a surprising development, Rick begins attending court-mandated community service with civil rights organizations, where something fundamental shifts. Working alongside discrimination victims, hearing their stories, confronting the human cost of his actions, he experiences genuine remorse. "I was wrong," Rick admits during a bias education workshop, his voice breaking with emotion. "I became everything I should have opposed. My prejudice didn't just hurt innocent people. It destroyed my family, my career, everything I thought I was building through hate." Rick's transformation becomes part of a nationwide movement toward redemption. Marcus Washington's response becomes the definitive case study at Harvard Business School, Wharton, and Stanford, demonstrating how one discrimination incident, handled with decisive leadership and systematic reform, can catalyze industry-wide transformation and social progress. Major automotive companies scramble to avoid similar public relations disasters. Ford, General Motors, Toyota, and Volkswagen implement Premier Motors' comprehensive anti-discrimination policies proactively. Customer service training programs nationwide incorporate Marcus's protocols. Mystery shopper programs testing for bias spread throughout the retail industry. Federal agencies praise the swift, comprehensive corporate response. The Department of Justice uses Premier Motors as the gold standard for private sector civil rights enforcement. Congressional testimony by Marcus influences pending federal anti-discrimination legislation, strengthening legal protections for retail customers nationwide. Universities compete intensely to secure Marcus as commencement speaker. His message resonates powerfully across campuses. Success without service to others represents hollow victory. Use your achievements to lift those behind you. Create opportunities for the systematically excluded. Build systems reflecting our highest values. The mentorship network Marcus establishes connects successful minority business owners with aspiring entrepreneurs nationwide. Over 800 protégés receive guidance, funding, and partnership opportunities through programs launched after his discrimination experience, creating generational wealth transfer. His venture capital fund, specifically supporting minority-owned businesses, attracts matching investments from major financial institutions. Wall Street recognizes the tremendous profit potential in previously overlooked communities. Economic empowerment becomes sophisticated investment strategy rather than charitable gesture. Community development accelerates as Premier Motors dealerships anchor minority business districts nationwide. Marcus's commitment to local suppliers, contractors, and service providers creates economic multiplier effects throughout historically underserved areas, revitalizing entire neighborhoods. International recognition follows domestic success rapidly. European and Asian automotive companies study Marcus's comprehensive approach as global markets grapple with discrimination issues. His model for using business success to create systematic social change influences corporate policies worldwide. Educational partnerships with historically black colleges and universities produce automotive business programs, graduating thousands of minority professionals annually. Industry diversity increases measurably as systematic barriers fall and meaningful opportunities expand throughout corporate hierarchies. Supply chain transformation extends throughout the entire automotive ecosystem. Major manufacturers adopt Premier Motors' supplier diversity requirements as competitive advantages. Minority-owned parts, suppliers, logistics companies, and service providers gain access to contracts previously monopolized by established networks. Academic research quantifies the remarkable economic impact. Communities with diverse business ownership show significantly higher growth rates, increased innovation, and stronger social cohesion. Marcus's approach proves definitively that comprehensive anti-discrimination policies drive sustainable profit alongside social justice. Marcus's vision for complete systematic transformation continues reshaping American business permanently. 2 years later, Premier Motors Location 7 bustles with customers from every background examining vehicles while receiving uniformly excellent service. The transformation from Rick Stevens' discriminatory regime to Sarah Martinez's inclusive leadership showcases what becomes possible when prejudice gives way to principled professionalism. Marcus Washington stands in the completely renovated showroom, watching families of every heritage explore their automotive dreams without fear of judgment, threats, or humiliation. Sales have increased 60% as word spreads about the dealership's genuine commitment to treating all customers with dignity and respect. Rick Stevens now works as a community outreach coordinator for the Southern Poverty Law Center, his personal transformation from discriminator to advocate becoming a powerful tool for education. His minimum wage beginning led to meaningful work helping other former bigots confront their prejudices. I became the thing I should have fought against, Rick shares during bias workshops nationwide. My hatred didn't just devastate innocent people, it destroyed my family, my career, my soul. But redemption becomes possible when we choose growth over grievance. Rebecca Washington Chen has expanded her civil rights practice, winning landmark cases that strengthen federal protections for discrimination victims. Her partnership with her father demonstrates how family legacies can drive systematic social change across generations. Sarah Martinez has transformed from fearful employee to confident corporate leader. Her promotion to National Diversity Coordinator, enabling systematic change across hundreds of locations. Mr. Washington proved that speaking truth isn't career suicide. It's career advancement when you work for principled leadership. The local community embraces Premier Motors as an exemplar of business leadership serving social justice. Civil rights organizations hold annual fundraisers in the showroom, celebrating progress while acknowledging the ongoing work toward complete equality. Marcus's grandchildren understand their grandfather's success transcends financial achievement. Grandpa didn't just build a business empire, his grandson explains to classmates. He built a platform for lifting others, creating opportunities, proving that prosperity should benefit everyone regardless of color. Industry recognition continues flowing steadily. Marcus receives the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the NAACP Lifetime Achievement Award, and the Nobel Peace Prize nomination for using business success to advance civil rights globally. The educational legacy expands through business schools worldwide, teaching the Premier Motors model of crisis response. Students learn how one discrimination incident, handled with integrity and comprehensive vision, can generate positive change affecting millions of people across multiple generations. Marcus reflects on the afternoon that changed everything, not because discrimination was unprecedented, but because his response created systematic changes preventing future victims from facing similar threats and humiliation. The personal slight became catalyst for generational progress toward true equality. Systematic change measurements show remarkable progress. Discrimination complaints across the automotive industry decrease significantly as companies adopt proactive, comprehensive policies. Customer satisfaction surveys reveal dramatically improved service quality across all demographic groups. Rick's redemption story becomes equally powerful, proving that even committed bigots can choose transformation over continued hatred. His work with former extremists demonstrates that change becomes possible when consequences meet genuine remorse and sustained effort. True power isn't about revenge, Marcus tells audiences nationwide. It's about using your position to ensure others never endure what you experienced. Individual healing through systematic change creates lasting legacy. The transformation of Premier Motors from systematic discrimination to dignified inclusion proves that principled business leadership can drive comprehensive social justice when moral courage meets strategic opportunity. Marcus Washington's response to prejudice created ripple effects still expanding through American commerce and global business practices. Should businesses face harsher penalties for discrimination? Let us know your thoughts. Your voice matters critically in this ongoing conversation. Share your experiences with discrimination, whether as victim, witness, or someone committed to systematic change. Together, we build communities where dignity isn't determined by appearance, but guaranteed by unwavering principle and collective action. Take concrete action in your community today. Support minority-owned businesses consistently. Challenge bias whenever you encounter it courageously. Report discrimination to appropriate authorities immediately. Use your influence, however modest, to create environments where everyone receives fundamental respect and equal treatment. Educational resources await those ready to examine their own unconscious biases honestly. Marcus recommends White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo, How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi, and comprehensive training programs through the Anti-Defamation League. Understanding precedes meaningful change always. Aspiring minority entrepreneurs can access mentorship through the Washington Foundation, scholarship opportunities through the Premier Motors Educational Fund, and investment resources through the Equity Capital Network. Dreams require robust support systems to become sustainable reality. Business leaders studying this transformative case find detailed implementation guides at premiermotorsmodel.org, including discrimination response protocols, comprehensive diversity training curricula, and customer service measurement tools. Systematic change requires practical resources, not merely good intentions or surface-level policies. Subscribe for more stories of justice overcoming entrenched prejudice, empowerment defeating systematic discrimination, moral courage creating lasting change. Next week, homeless veteran inherits billion-dollar empire, fires bank manager who refused basic service. Share this story across all social media platforms widely. Tag friends who need inspiration desperately. Comment with your location and your personal commitment to treating everyone with fundamental dignity. Global transformation begins with individual choices and collective action. Have you ever witnessed workplace discrimination? Share your story in the comments. Remember Marcus Washington's essential lesson. You never know who you're talking to or threatening. The person you dismiss might control your future. The customer you disrespect might own your company. The individual you underestimate might transform your entire industry. Most importantly, recognize your own power to create meaningful change. Whether you're employee or employer, customer or business owner, your choices shape the world around you daily. Choose dignity. Choose respect. Choose justice. Choose transformation. Dignity isn't earned by wealth, it's owed to every human being. This story demonstrates how one moment of courage can transform entire industries. Marcus Washington's experience proves that true power lies not in revenge, but in using success to lift others and create systems that protect the vulnerable. Rick Stevens' journey from perpetrator to advocate shows that redemption remains possible for those willing to confront their prejudices and work toward genuine change. The Premier Motors transformation continues inspiring businesses worldwide to examine their practices, challenge their assumptions, and build inclusive environments where everyone can thrive. Sometimes the most powerful response to injustice isn't anger. It's systematic change that ensures no one else faces the same humiliation. What would you do in Marcus's position? How will you use your influence, however small, to create a more just world? The choice is yours, and the time is now.